Welcome to Growing Home, the podcast that helps you take care of the place that means the most to you, your home. I'm your host, Terry Therrien, alongside your co-host, Len Giddix. Good morning, Len, and now we're back in the studio, an early morning session for the Growing Home podcast.
But maybe next time we should wait till the sun comes up. What do you think, Terry?
Yeah, I think after we got here, I heard a rooster crow.
Yes.
He was sleeping in, but us being avid gardeners, we're ready to go. We're ambitious this time of the year.
That's right. There's things to do.
Yeah, so we're ready to get out there and get going. So early morning start for the Growing Home podcast team. But Len, every time we come in the studio, we chat after, and often I've asked you about this massive hydrangea it's in the front of my house, and it has been there before I moved there, so I have no idea how old it is. Mm-hmm. But it leafs out. It's probably close to 5.5 feet tall, mm-hmm. and I get one flower a year.
Congratulations!
Thank you. And it's this beautiful blue flower mm-hmm. buried deep in the foliage. And it's just, we're just not, I don't know if I'm not doing it justice, but can we talk about how can I get flowers maybe on the top of the bush, and how can we save this thing? It's
not impossible, Terry. I mean, the lack of I joke sometimes and say that the lack of spring flowers on a big leaf hydrangea like you have are due to bad karma and not saying enough novenas, because there's a lot of magic. It's not magic, but it seems to be magic to the public. There are actually perfectly logical reasons why your hydrangea doesn't bloom in spring, and that flower is down buried in the foliage, and yet every year you have this lush plant that comes up from the ground. Right?
Gorgeous foliage.
Yeah.
But burying the flower deep within, right. and I'm from customers I run into in the garden center and stuff. I'm guessing a lot of us run into this.
Yes, that's the biggest question on the radio in the garden center. Why didn't my hydrangea bloom? Well, it's pretty simple. But I think that we should take a step back and say, why did the owner of your house actually plant the hydrangea in the front yard?
Right. Yep. Right in the front yard.
Yeah. Right there when it doesn't flower, but he hoped it, or she hoped it would flower. And when you think about it, a lot of us vacation on the Cape or along the shoreline. What's the town in Rhode Island with all the mansions?
Newport.
Newport, yes. Every mansion had tons of hydrangeas, and they do very well, it seems, just growing in an old driveway somewhere. And there's a mystique about hydrangeas. They're large flowers, whether they be lace cap, the flat flower, or the mop head flower, which is the big ball. They have this alluring, persnicketyness, let's put it that way, because they're associated with vacation and rich. And boy, I love it. They are beautiful. Why can't I do this? So the public goes out and buys hydrangea, thinking that, that one plant will kind of raise them up a little bit.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if it's a status symbol or... It
is a status symbol.
I think it could be, but I mean, even then, it's because that flower they're so big.
Yeah.
And it's on most of our shrubs, they'll flower a little bit or have small flowers, but nothing as impressive as one of those large, macrophylla hydrangeas, with those large blue and purple and pinkish flowers, and they draw your attention right off the road.
Yep. Well, you go to any party, any dinner party or cocktail party where there's gardeners involved, and the subject of did your hydrangea bloom this year comes up. And of course, the one or two people that have blooming hydrangeas are very proud to say that they did, and not ashamed to rub it in your nose.
Well, good thing hydrangeas are fragrant.
Yeah. if you feel that way, that they're persnickety, what you're thinking of is the big leaf or Hydrangea macrophylla. Big leaf, macrophylla means big. Macro means big, phylla means leaf, so it's big leaf hydrangeas. They come in mop heads with those big balls of blue or pink, depending on the pH, or the flat lace caps.
Right. And the lace caps they have the small little beady looking flowers on the center.
Exactly.
And then the larger petal flowers are on the outside.
Yep. And when we say hydrangeas, those immediately are what comes to mind. But there's actually 6 different types of hydrangea. And the one that comes to your mind is the most persnickety.
Right.
Okay. There are the rest of the hydrangea family is so easy to grow that it's unreal, and they are reliable, yet we keep wanting to grow the big leaf hydrangea because it's a challenge, I guess.
All right. Maybe it reminds us of vacation when we're at I've seen beautiful hydrangeas from Cape Cod all the way down to, Spring Lake, New Jersey, right on the Jersey Shore.
Sure, even further south, yeah.
So maybe, it reminds us of vacation, and those blues and purples, they stick in our mind, and we come home, and we want to bring that back with us.
That's true. That makes all the sense in the world. Well, you want to go through those different 6 types?
Yeah, let's
start
break
with
them down.
With your problem. Okay?
Yes, my problem child.
It's called the big leaf or mop head. It's also called a mop head because of that big ball of flowers. Again, they come in the lace cap, which is the flat flower. A lot of people don't prefer the lace cap. I think they're absolutely gorgeous, but most people like the mop head. That's what they expect.
Yeah, well, I mean, even on our last episode when I was dorking out about the David Austin roses and the number of petals, up close, they're just so impressive. It's like, how did, we fight so hard to, make things perfect or organize our house in a perfect way, and yet Mother Nature just does her thing, and this flower just emerges like incredibly perfect. And I think that same thing of the lace cap hydrangea, and that's something in my mind, that's something I'd like to plant where I get to see it up close more often, and maybe you put those big mop heads at a farther distance away, you can, because of their impressive flower, you can see them. But that lace cap, it's so amazing that this like perfect circle of flowers, the large petal flowers circle these small and beady ones in the center. And correct me if I'm wrong, those small ones in the center are the fertile ones.
Well, yes. Technically they are.
Okay.
However, you never plant hydrangeas from seed. If you want to live long enough, I suppose you do. But you buy a plant.
Yes.
You buy the rooted plant. And by the way, you were dorking out about hydrangeas.
Oh,
that means you're a gardener.
Oh yeah, I'm there. I'm hooked.
Okay. The big thing about the macrophyllas, the big leaf hydrangeas, is that they're happiest in zone 6 or 7 or warmer. Now, believe it or not, the Cape is 6 and 7.
Getting warmer
temperatures.
Off the ocean.
We are here in central Connecticut north, zone 5. No matter what the USDA says, we're a 5.
And we just missed it.
Well, just missed it, but those that are zone 6, which are along the shore and up and down the Connecticut River Valley, usually have higher land taxes, so that you're paying for it. Okay. And they're perceived, as we said, as trophy plant, and they'll be brought up and rubbed in your face every time your neighbor has flowers and you don't. And the blooms change color, pink or blue or something in between, even purple, with the soil pH. The more acidic the pH, less than 7, the bluer the flower. The more alkaline the soil, above 7 is neutral, above 7 you'll get pink. That's why in the Midwest and in the nursery business we had this fight because most of our bare root plants that we planted in the previous year would be grown in the Midwest where they have alkaline soils. And most of the country has alkaline soils. So the tags that came with the plant all had pink flowers. And no one in New England wants a pink flower.
Right.
So there was like this false advertising, and our soils are naturally a little acidic. Up comes this blue flower. Holy cow, I bought this pink hydrangea. What's going on? And it was a constant source. We had to explain it.
Oh, that.
So finally, we got the double colored pictures on tags.
That is a funny coincidence.
It is.
Because you've got, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan.
Yeah.
Are your alkaline soils sending it to acidic New England?
That's right. And the blooms on the mophead or the big leaf hydrangeas can be blue, purple, red, white, or even now multicolored. There's a new Revolution series where the flower color is anywhere from white to green and red all on the same bloom. It's just a magnificent, and it changes. It's remarkable because you'll have one plant with a with each bloom being a different color because of its age. Hydrangea flowers and hydrangea foliage tends to turn color with age. You'll see it turn more purple in the fall as the light.
Yeah. So instead of seeing like the whole, like all of the flowers on the same shrub change color altogether,
yeah,
they're individually changing.
And that's with the Revolution series. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, they're making some great advances. Still, you need to be zone 6 or protected. And we'll talk about protection a little bit later.
Okay.
The second hydrangea I'd like to talk about is called the mountain hydrangea. Or the serrated leaf hydrangea. Now, the mopheads, the origin of the mopheads, the big leaf hydrangeas that we just talked about, they originated in the coastal regions of Japan, just like they grow well at the coastal regions of Connecticut. The mountain hydrangea was harvested originally from where in Japan? The mountain hydrangea.
From the mountains.
There you go.
There we go.
And as we know, the mountains are a little bit colder, and so these are more hardy. And they are just perfect for central Connecticut. They are a zone 5. They tend to grow slower. They tend to grow a little bit smaller, which is great because of the smaller yards that we have, the smaller landscape plants that we need. They tend to be lace caps right now, although I'm certain someone's working on getting rid of the lace cap and giving us a mophead serrata. The serrata, they get their name because their leaf edges are serrated. Serrata means serrated. That's how I remember it anyway. And let's see, Little Tough Stuff is a PW brand name, and I think those are about the only ones that are out right now.
Yeah, and there's a line of them. There's multiple colors in the Tough Stuff line.
Yeah.
I know of a purple, red, and a blue.
Yeah.
Great. So what about the next one?
Annabelle types. This is an American native plant. Now it's called the smooth leaf hydrangea. Guess that the edges are smooth rather than serrated.
Okay.
Or way big. But this is an American native, and in its natural state is a lace cap. It's a beautiful flat lace cap with the sterile flowers on the outside and the little fertile flowers on the inside. And they are, if you get one, I'm telling you, you're not going to regret it because they are pollinator magnets. I mean, it's a little scary just to go near this shrub, even in summer, because there are so many insects on it of different types. If you want to learn your pollinators, this is one of the plants you want to get.
Being a native plant, it makes sense, right?
Exactly. Now, the Annabelle, which is a mophead flower, was found by accident growing in the wild in Anna, Illinois. And it was found by a woman, so they named it Annabelle. That's how it got its name. Now, Annabelle was just a revolution in landscape plants because of the big white mop head that it had on there. However, it was a little flimsy when and it was fine as long as it didn't rain hard. But you have a big mop head flower, and all of a sudden it